Hey folks, walk with me. It's a chilly one out here today. You see a few snow flurries in the air. But something came across my computer screen, and I thought I would just chime in with it here in case anyone found it helpful. But, we've spoken a lot, or at least to some degree, on this playlist about struggles with timelessness, meaning that you're going through a hard time or something happens that is a challenge or is disturbing in some way. And for folks of a certain mindset, myself being one of them, there can be this sense of this is just the future now, right? This is happening and this is a stain on me or on this relationship or on this situation forevermore, to quote Poe, I think. And there's a common phrase out there that goes, "This too shall pass." And somebody had written a message online that basically said, this sounds silly, but I actually find it to be quite helpful. This concept of this too shall pass. And I understand why it can feel silly because, for one, it's a trope, right? It's an overused, very colloquial term, and it can feel a little bit superficial, right? That you are maybe being a bit too dismissive or dismissed regarding the gravity or the impact of a certain situation or circumstances by simply retorting with, "This too shall pass." But I do think that even for folks like myself who struggle with this sense of timelessness, and certainly more so for folks who don't struggle with that sense of timelessness, folks who have this sense of tomorrow's a new day and like really feel and inhabit that space. This like saying, just this mantra, that's the word I'm looking for, of "this too shall pass," can certainly help alleviate some of the stress of a given situation, a given set of circumstances, a given arisal of something that you just wish weren't the case. But it is, and it's at your doorstep, and now it's yours to deal with. And it can be harder, like I said, for folks who have this sense that, this is now an indelible stain on my life, on my environment, whatever it is. And so this too shall pass, I don't think will be the be-all end-all if you struggle with that. But it's a starting point. It's sort of a stopgap, right? Band-Aids aren't bad as long as you also treat the infection. And for some folks, the Band-Aid is enough. For other folks, you will need to go a little bit deeper, and we've talked extensively about ways in which to try to go deeper, to take the long road to and through challenges and perspectives in your life. And but I think that it can lead some people to believe, oh well, if there's something that's not that deep dark road through, then I should just throw it out altogether. And I think that there's a place for both. This too shall pass can be helpful, and you may need to do more beyond that. But if it does lower the temperature of your internal room, if it does give you a sense of being able to cope a little bit easier in the moment, I think that it's a useful tool to have at your disposal, as long as it doesn't become the stopping point, right? As long as that's a starting point and it's a way for you to begin, and just a way for you to begin with a little bit of ease. The path through is and can be hard, but that doesn't mean that you can't try to find ways, even if they seem silly, to alleviate some of the hardness along the way. And this too shall pass, or this is temporary, or tomorrow is a new day. Whatever sort of modification you may want to make on that is valuable and is valid. And I thought I would just sort of mention it here. I appreciated how the person sort of contextualized it in the sense of, this is silly, but I actually find it helpful. There's also a saying out there that goes that's something like, tropes are tropes for a reason. Yes, they seem overused and silly and superficial sometimes, but they're popular for a reason, because there is a lot of truth contained in them. But I think, being able to put it in a particular point in time, right? Have it occupy a specific space within you or for you, I think is probably the antidote to having it be purely superficial and then sort of over the long term insignificant and maybe even detrimental, right? If you expect it to be more than what it can be. And I think for some like myself, it can be a Band-Aid, and you need to treat it as a Band-Aid and not as the ambulance and the and the first responders and the surgeon and the antibiotics to recover, right? You still will need those things, and that's the longer, harder road. But the two can coexist. And like I said, for many, if you don't struggle with this sense of timelessness, or there aren't other issues at play, maybe that simple thought of tomorrow's a new day. This is temporary. Things will improve. I won't remember this in a month. Or this too shall pass. Those are all the same thing. And for many, that might be enough. And so you don't have to tell anyone about it. You don't have to, post it on your TikTok or Twitter or whatever, Instagram stories for all the world to see and to judge you over using this trope. It can exist just in your head, right? It can be just for you. An opportunity for some alleviation, whether it's temporary or more permanent. All right, folks. Well, that's all for today. I thought this would be a quicker video, and I'm sure it was tremendously repetitive, but sometimes hearing the same thought 3 or 4 different ways in brief succession is helpful. All right. Well, if nothing else, maybe you enjoyed some of the snow flurries, the degree to which you can see them, I don't know. But there you go. You can see a little bit, right? And if you walked with me or you watched this far, I certainly appreciate it. And as always, I will see you in the next video.